And tonight's number is 18. And here it is. The cost of raising a child to 18 has soared to over $245,000. According to new statistics from the Department of Agriculture, the price tag of raising a baby born in 2013 to the age of 18 just soared to over $245,000 for a middle-income couple. That figure is up $4,260 from 2012. Notice the number does not include college, just basic food, lodging, transport, food, clothing, and various, some Sundays, all that stuff that, helps your child get through the door. I got to tell you, folks, that just shows you that we, as a middle class, we need to do a better job in this country of making sure that we really, truly believe and harness America's future generation. And that means we need to make some investments. Now, I'm not saying, willy-nilly government spending, but if we know that the cost of raising a child is going up, we know it costs more to raise a child in this country, the question we've got to ask ourselves is, are these parents making more? Can they afford the new increases in cost to raise a child? And if the answer to that question is no, then what do we need to do to fill that gap as a nation? Because let me tell you, when one child suffers, when one child fails, our whole nation fails. And think about the spending on the back end of that, right? Because that child decides, if we can't raise this child adequately and educate, and he doesn't get a proper public education, he or she could be part of our penal system, where we're paying or doling out up to $40,000 a year to keep them in prison. Or they could be part of our homeless population, or they could be part of our sick population, and where we're paying millions of dollars to keep them well and keep them well. So we need to make the investment on the ground level, so we don't have to have wasteful spending later on in the process of in their life cycle, right? But we're going to have the will in Washington to get that done. And sadly, all you're hearing in Washington is more cuts, more cuts, more cuts, more cuts, more cuts. And let me be very clear, I'm not saying sitting here that we don't need to make cuts. I think that we can have a conversation about decreasing the corporate tax rate, if and only if we also have a conversation about closing tax loopholes and making sure that millionaires and billionaires pay their fair share in taxes. You got to give a little to get a little. But I think if we could do that, we could really find ways to make smart investments in our kids' futures. And that's just the most important thing. How do we make a smart investment in our children's future moving forward?